I really do believe that one of the most important things, no matter what, just as a woman, whether you're menopausal or not, keep your stress down, because good God, the skin, the heart, the gut health, the weight, the hair loss, the everything that the freaking stress can cause, never mind ruining relationships and making bad choices, whatever, to indulge in, drugs or food or shopping or alcohol, whatever it is, it's going to kill you. It's going to just knock you right out.
Welcome to All Things Menopausal. My name is Mary, and I'm a menopause doula. As a doula, we augment the healthcare profession as menopause support practitioners. I created this podcast, All Things Menopausal, to build community for women going through menopause transition and to foster resilience through the stories that connect, educate, and empower. These stories are real, raw, relatable, and they're very much relevant to the physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual whole person that we are. In our midlife transition, we are not alone. Each week, you will hear from courageous, vulnerable, and knowledgeable guests, sharing their passion, their journey, and lived experience. These are little clues to finding solutions to our unique situation. The menopause symptoms are personal, but the experience is universal. Angel Forrest from Pointe Claire, Quebec, Canada, is a singer, songwriter, and performer of Italian, Irish, and Welsh descent. She has had a prolific career spanning over 3 decades, starting in 1988 with her debut album, Secondhand Blues. Angel gained prominence with her tribute show to Janis Joplin, later released a Angel Sings Janis live album. Notably, her original album, Here For You, sold over 30,000 copies, followed by several LPs, including Wonderland Christmas, Come Alive, and Mother Tongue Blues, which earned her accolades such as the Lys Blues Album of the Year. She also won Songwriter of the Year at the 2014 Maple Blues Award. And in 2016, Angel released Angel's 11, collaborating with 11 prominent guitarists and winning multiple awards. Her live album, Electric Love, was a global success, and she was named Female Vocalist of the Year by the Toronto Blues Society 7 times. Her 2019 album, Hell Bent with Grace, was critically acclaimed and nominated for the JUNO Award for the Blues Album of the Year in 2020. Angel has been collaborating with her husband, Denis Coulombe, as songwriting partner since 2005, along with other musicians on various projects. And I brought Angel here today specifically to talk about the subject matter of her album and its inspiration, Hell Bent with Grace, and that is menopause. There is so much to unpack from Angel's experiences transitioning through that midlife and making her own discoveries about how nutrition and exercise and stress management and controlling sleep can improve the symptoms and allow ourselves to find peace with who we are in the age of wisdom. What I find extraordinary, music can actually soothe our symptoms. In a study that was conducted using traditional Turkish music to alleviate symptoms, it was found that menopausal women who listened to the music twice daily for 5 weeks showed significant improvements in their symptoms and in their sleep quality, as well as lowering depression. The study suggests that music may offer a simple and side effect-free solution to physical and emotional challenges by stimulating what's called that feel-good hormone and reducing stress chemicals. Although there's more research to be explored in this extraordinary area of music, let me tell you, you crank up the tunes of Angel in your earbuds and you are going to feel so inspired. You're just going to want to rock right through the transition and say, to hell with you all, I've got this, baby. Without further ado, let's listen to the amazing Angel Forrest. Good morning, Angel. How are you this morning all the way in Quebec?
I'm grand. It's freezing here, but I'm good.
I'm really happy to have you on the show. You have such a unique story to tell with the most beautiful voice to tell it with, let me just say.
That's sweet.
And
to write songs about the menopausal transition is just such an incredible thing to do. It's a nice way of, I guess, surrendering to it, if you will, and making peace with it.
Therapy. Yeah, absolute therapy. Yeah, no, it definitely was one of the things that has gotten me this far without killing anybody. Yes.
So before you tell us about Angel, her backstory and how she landed to be an award-winning artist and recognized worldwide, congratulations for that.
Thank you. Long story short, short story long. 36 years now this month, actually doing it. And, just started back, bottle of wine, a cute looking guy, played guitar by the fire. I figured if I want to get close to him, I better sing a little bit because he's got the guitar looking for people to play with. Yeah. In the end, I married him. So yeah, started like that, did clubs for many years in Montreal, doing guitar oriented songs. They just needed a filler for, so they could do their guitar solos. So I was doing a lot of Hendrix and Stones and Stevie Ray. And then I was doing some Janis, and then that turned into a Janis tribute, Angel Sings Janis. And I did a lot of TV stuff. Quebec, big fans of that whole era of Janis and Hendrix and the Doors and, all of that kind of music. So I did really well with that. And then from there, didn't really have much time to write because I married that guitar player. We had a child. And then pretty soon after the child was born, like 8 months, we divorced. Jasmine. So I was busy working during the day as a single mom. So I didn't really, and doing clubs at night, still with him actually, until I finally changed bands, but didn't have much time for writing original stuff. So it took me quite a bit of time I think it was probably in 2000 that I started writing. And yeah, so then that's it. Long story short, like I said, did all of that for many, many years, playing all over Quebec, mainly, and some Ontario. And then I wrote an English album and it was translated into French. And I put that album out as my first album. I signed a contract with a French company and they wanted me to do half and half. And then someone said, that's not good. You got to do it all either English or French because either side will not accept it if you're dabbling in both. Anyway, the whole Quebec politics and the whole language thing was it was a thing. All my fans are French, like crazy, like it's all French fan base for this kind of style of blues and rock that I was doing. The English were all right, but they weren't the ones coming out and like loving it, like supporting me, even to this day. Did that, landed up with another gentleman, the father of my second child, who was an actor who became a musician when he met me, and he translated all that. He was a writer, actually. He translated it into French. And then I did that record, and then we split up, and then I wrote for the first time myself, really, Here For You album, which is a folk album. That's when I met my present husband, who was a bass player at the time. I hired him and his brother, but he played acoustic guitar. So we wrote this album and fell in love, and didn't know we were in love for many years. And I toured with him, and this is a good one. We went on a tour of Quebec in Winnebago, and it was the father, JF, the father of my second child, was the opening act, acoustic. And then my show was me and my present husband. And at the time, he wasn't my husband, and my ex-husband, father of my first child. So it was the three of them and me in Winnebago. And we toured and we played this album that I wrote, Here For You, which was my healing to get over my second child's father, if you will. So music has always been my healing source without even knowing it, whether I'm writing and singing my own tunes or getting behind a Janis tune or a blues tune where I just make it my own. That was the whole trick in the beginning, was doing covers. Was I could do songs I knew people loved. And if they didn't like it, it wasn't because they didn't like me. It was because they didn't like the song. That's how I thought about it. But I always made it my own. I'd learn it the way it was. An Allman Brothers song, I would learn it exactly. And then I would know where the key points were that touched me. And then I would do my own version of it.
Who does have a short backstory, right? There's just so many multi-layers about that. And that really actually brings me to wanting to talk about Hell Bent with Grace. And your tribute, or perhaps your snub at Menopause. Tell us about how that all came to fruition.
Well, that album, I don't know. It was a time. I did it in 2000, came out in 2019. So I wrote it in 2018. And at that point, I guess I was already 4 or 5 years into menopause. And, my mom passed away, who was my best friend. And, she was on her own type of thing for most of my life. So she was my buddy. My cousin ended up killing himself.
Oh dear.
And he was somebody I went through something with. Like at the time, he was not a bad influence, but he helped me do some bad things when I was younger. And he was my supplier. And he's a really great person. And he was wonderful, full of heart and loving. Never even knew he had any kind of mental issues ever. My last daughter, Dylan, she left the house, went to college. And I had a relationship with her like my mom had with me. So she's like my life. And I had somebody close to me who was addicted to drugs that was tearing us apart, our relationship. And I had my oldest daughter who was seeing a guy who was abusive, not necessarily not physically abusive, but incredibly mentally abusive and very emotionally abusive. And I also got to go to India, which has been my dream since, I don't know, I guess in my other life, I've had this thing, a connection with India through the music, the food, the furniture, the jewelry, the people, their idea of, their Kama Sutra, like everything about them is. And so all of these subjects and all of that I was going through, it was time to write a record. And I also started doing Kundalini yoga at that time because I was gaining weight and I was feeling yucky. And so I went on this like juice thing, and I saw this thing on Instagram, Life Force Academy, with this really cool looking dude from Nevada City, California. And, I always like to do yoga. I love to do that kind of thing. But the way this guy spoke, like he'd throw out the F word sometimes, and he'd talk about the Grateful Dead and how he'd go see shows and, talk about all these things that were really, I could relate to. Like he wasn't preaching. He was just talking about his life, and his language he spoke really touched me. So at one point when I was writing this record, I had a little bit of a block. And that was when I started the Kundalini, and just blew everything open.
Beautiful.
It blew out for me, the trauma that we experience in life that we don't even know we do, that we bury. This particular type of yoga releases that. These postures that you do when you get past this threshold of pain, something just unleashes, and next thing you know, you're crying, you're blowing snot out of your nose, and you're like, what the heck's going on? And it just crazy, right? So this really helped me out. So that all of that happened while I was writing Hellbent. And I mean, I usually write about what I'm going through, but this was really particular. The song Grace, for instance, I had two girlfriends of mine that are both singers, and we have the same chemin, the same route of music, whatever you want to call it. And one had open heart surgery, like didn't feel good, went into the hospital to get an emergency and said, hey, I'm having a hard time breathing. And the next day she was on the table for a triple bypass.
Oh,
same age as me, maybe a year older. And another girlfriend, a singer, lost her mom the same day she found out she had cancer. So her mom had cancer. She'd been taking care of her. She passed away the day that she found out that she actually had cancer. And just like totally like kicked the shit out of it. And then, came back all the stronger. So Grace is about that, the surrounding of the women around me that have battled things that are just like out of capability of, number one, why me? And then how do I get through this? And both of them single, like both of them alone with no actual support. So that was a really big influence. And it's a positive song. The album sounds like it's negative and it's like, but it's not really. And even the menopause thing is kind of tongue in cheek, and it just touches on, it takes my sexy away. Well, yeah, I've lost my libido. Thank you very much. My hips don't sway like they used to anymore. And, my hair is gone coarse and quick. It really has. And I don't use nice and easy, but I did try it once. But, all these lyrics, and the piece from my sleep and wants to make me a man. And this hot flashes of when I'm drinking wine. I had Ain't No Doubt on the album is about that, about waking up feeling polluted at 4 a.m. because I had a glass of wine or 4 glasses of wine. Either way, I feel like shit. It's not good.
The same. Yeah.
And that whole desire to wake up in the morning and, okay, I'm going to do this stretch and I'm going to have a good breakfast and I'm going to do this with my shake and I'm going to do that. I'm going to walk. And then come 4 o'clock, you're like, yeah, I think I'll have a glass of wine. I feel really good. Not realizing that you got to keep feeling good and don't dive into the chocolate and the wine, because even though it feels good at the moment, the payback, the residual, it's just, so Ain't No Doubt is about that too, wanting to live forever and just wanting to, people that were pissing me off and wagging their mouth about whatever. In the old days, I'd be like, yeah, now I'm gonna knock you out. Like, I got to walk away from this because I'm not dealing with this. Life's too short, you know?
Yeah.
So it's a fun, real stress releaser live. I get that,
That's so good.
It really is. And when I warm up for shows
Okay.
now, I put it on full blast in the car or in my ears if I'm at home.
Nice.
And I just sing along with it, full tilt boogie. And it warms up my chords and it warms up my inner peace. I go out like feeling, all right, like I just punched a punching bag for like 20 minutes. And I
yeah.
So that was a really good thing. So I always recommend it to the ladies and the men in the audience. Take this album home with you. Musically, it's fantastic. Ricky's on pocket guitar, and the three of us wrote the songs. I wrote the lyrics and the melodies, but it's just really good therapy. And you need that. You got to find something when you're going through this garbage that you can come out on the better side. I was just talking to my husband, Denis, and I'm like, so I'm going to do this interview. I was like, I can't remember when I started menopause. He's like, oh, it's got to be like 20 years. I'm like, what? Excuse me? I'm looking at him. He's like, no, it's around 20. You need a date. It's not 20. I'm going into 10 years now. But there is a way out. There is a sunny side. And I've just literally started that in the last 3 months.
What does that sunny side look like to you?
I did the last 6 years of being a vegetarian, my morals and my thing. And I don't want this. And when I used to be on the road, when I was thin, and I thought I was a fat pig, of course. I was like toting chickens, rotisserie chickens and boiled eggs and pickles and pieces of cheese. And I was doing the Atkins thing, and I felt like $1 million. And then your hormones get out of whack after you hit the menopause, and you're like, oh, and I'm a sweet addict, and I have osteoporosis. So I went in. I've done years of dancing, shaking the head around, and I went in because I had a sore hips, and they're like, they did from my ankles to my hips, and they're like, we're going to stop because let's just say you have it all over. Oof. And that's any kind of, if you have any kind of swelling, that makes it even worse. So went through all that for 6 years. And then I went to the doctor about 6 months ago. No, I guess it's got to be a year and a half ago. I went, and they gave me hormone cream, which has progesterone and other beauty there. Not the sex one there, not the testosterone one, but the other one. Again, the other one.
Progesterone and estrogen, which is, it's an estradiol. We take it as a transdermal cream, right?
There you go. And it started to work. The hot flashes that I was getting at night, soaking in my nice, beautiful linen sheets that I stank musty, and I'd stink musty, and I'd be like, what the Jesus? Because my smell is my worst enemy. I have a nose and the cream helped. And my husband could see the difference in my mood, because I was very I would cry at the drop of a hat, or I would, for happy things, for sad things. I'm just a big crier, turns out. And so I went to see the doctor just maybe 4 months ago, November maybe. And I went because I have tumors on my thyroid that I've been checking for the last 15 years. I had a car accident. They happened to do a scan, and they found it. So I was lucky. And I've been checking them because it's very close to my vocal box. So I go first it was every 6 months and every year. Anyway, I went out west, because then I moved out west. So I went out to see the doctor, and they weighed me. And the woman's this Australian lady, and she's doing it in kilos with her lovely accent. And I was like, what is that in pounds? She's like, she looks at me, and she's like, it's 197 pounds, darling. Maybe she was Irish. I can't remember. Anyway, I was just like, so I did my thing, whatever. And then I went to Costco to do the groceries before I went back to Hornby. And I called my husband, and I was like, this is bullshit. I'm not doing this. I said, I'm buying chicken for dinner, and I'm buying chickens to put in the freezer, and I'm going back to eating meat. And I could just hear him in the background, doing the dance. He was like, yeah, baby's back on meat, baby's back on meat. For 6 years, I've never felt worse in my life. Gained weight, overeating, because I never getting enough protein. Absolutely. Anyway, so we did that, started that in November. And I started, my daughter's boyfriend sent Denis, my husband, a subscription to AG1, because he doesn't eat any vegetables. So he started doing it. He's doing it for a couple of weeks, felt great. Then he stopped doing it. So I started taking it, and I started feeling better. So here I am back eating meat now. I'm eating nothing processed and no sugar. Christmas Day, I had Christmas dinner, which was fabulous, and sugar. And that was it. After that, I haven't touched sugar, and I haven't touched any carbs. I went away to Club Med to work for 2 months. And of course, the buffet, now that I'm eating meat, was easy to do. And I didn't touch anything, sugar. And I started swimming and going to the gym. The AG1 gave me the strength to get up in the morning and feel good. The sun, obviously, the vitamin D was quite the thing, but not eating the carbs. I mean, after a week and a half, 2 weeks, I was like, holy crap, my knees don't hurt. My back doesn't ache. Because I mean, just sleeping, you can't find me in bed. I'm propped up with so many pillows. Every freaking joint has got a pillow of its own to keep it. That stopped. And then anyway, I lost 21 pounds in 7 weeks. Beautiful. And I ate. I just didn't eat sugar and carbs. And I didn't drink wine. I stopped drinking the wine for a while, but my drink was tequila, white tequila, soda, and lime. And amazing. Like no carbs in that, really, one carb, I think, whatever. I came back and I had a little accident. I fell off something and I fell onto a rocking chair spindle at right 2 inches from my butthole. If it had only been 2 inches, it would have been better because I had clothes on, but it hit my coccyx. Okay. And I was so depressed because I realized, I said, man, I'm feeling so good because I'm moving and I'm not eating that toxic stuff that I'm a junkie for, number one, and that does not agree with me at all. I start walking again, whatever. But it's unbelievable going back to eating, like, as you know, it's not for everybody. Some people can be vegetarians and be fine. You know, some people can just be plant-based completely and they're fine. It didn't work for me. Like, I was miserable. That with the menopause, killer. I look at pictures, I'm like, who is this person? Like, and you don't move your body the same way, right? You don't carry yourself. It's like, oh, you're beautiful, honey. Even though you're 40 pounds overweight, you're still beautiful. Like, you're beautiful, you sex appeal. I'm like, fuck you. Are you kidding me? I don't move the way I move, like an old lady. I move like ma tante, like they call in Quebec, where my belly is sticking out more than my boobs are. And I got double D, which is another thing. Holy crap, double D. Like, I'm 5'3". This doesn't work. Anyway, all that to say that we're taking it into hand, like the Kundalini for the emotional, like the OCD and the emotional, whatever the stuff that I've been burying, and the look on life, obviously music, protein, however you can get it, not drinking wine and all that, finding an alcohol that agrees with me. That, you know, I'm not drinking every day, but when I do have a few drinks, it's tequila. It's clear tequila. And it's, you know, it's, for me, it's the best. And soda water and lime and the diet and walking and moving. I mean, even if I started doing weights every second day in Club Med. And I've always been, when I used to go to the gym, I would love to, like, I love the gym. I love the weights. I'm not a cardio chick. The bags from the car, from the grocery, is one shot, 16 bags. I'm dragging them, but I'm not going back to the car. There's no way. I'm a one-hit wonder. That's it. So I've never been good with cardio, right? So, but you know, when you're a Club Med, you have to walk everywhere. Just get into the buffet 3 times, walk around the pool, go on the beach. So I was walking more. And, you know, everything that they say is true. You got to get out and move. And you have to, as we get older, you need to lift weights, not heavy weights, just, you know. Yeah. And it's changed a lot. And even my daughter's like, man, Mom, like, I can see I'm on tour in Quebec now. That's why I'm here. Haven't played in Quebec for 2 years. And this is where my fan base is, my money maker is here. And I went out first night and I was like, shitting my pants, like, oh my God, freaking out because I don't know who that person is anymore. And then a couple songs in, I was like, oh yeah, okay. And then, and that is also a vehicle that I need to express myself. And that's what saved me from divorces and addiction, because I had the stage. I had a vehicle to express myself, to get out there and just weep or scream or stomp my feet, shake my ass, whatever it is. And I missed it. So right now I'm counting my blessings, because I used to go out on tour. I used to do it, and not with blinders on, but kind of like, okay, yeah, okay, this is great. Go through the motions. And because I give a lot, I meet people before, I stay after, I give every hug and every handshake and every picture. For me, that's super important. These people, without them, I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing. So I'm empty by the time I get home, and I get the shakes because I have the adrenaline coming down and I'm cold from sweat. And I said this time when I left, actually, when my daughter's friend said, okay, Angel, when you get out there, he said, enjoy every minute of it and live in the moment. And I was like, man, you hit it on the head, because I haven't done that in so long, because I'm always worried about tomorrow, or I'm always thinking about. So that's been my mantra now since I'm here, is I'm enjoying every single minute, even if I'm exhausted or whatever. And, every coffee, every little drink, every moment of sleep, everything as I'm driving, and my daughter's with me, my Dylan, my youngest, she's coming and doing the media, social media, and she's selling the merch, and she's dancing with me during the show. Yeah. So I'm really enjoying every second of it. But it's been 10 years. Like, I just was reminded at breakfast. I keep saying to everybody, oh, it'll end, give it 10 years, but I realize I'm actually at 10 years. So I don't know what's going to be next. I might think about trying to get off the hormones, because my mother had breast cancer when she was in her, I think, 70s, maybe 68. And, my mother, she had it in one boob, and she was kind of like, well, take the other one. What the hell I need the other one for? So she's like, that kind of thing. And the hormone thing kind of scares me. So I haven't been on it for that long, just the last 2 years. It's kind of like when you're taking mental pills, for anxiety and stuff. And you're like, I feel really good, man. I feel really good. I'm going to go off them. No, you feel really good because you're on them. You're dummy. Yeah. You don't need them because you're on them. So I don't know. We'll see about that. But
imagine that we were in a session and I was your menopause doula, and you had come into me and you said, you're getting such great results with your HRT, but you're worried about the breast cancer and the linkage. And let's just, we'll park that for a second. I want to get back to it. And as your doula, of course, we don't prescribe, we don't diagnose. But what I would be saying to you right now is that there's enough empirical evidence out there that says that staying on HRT for a long duration is actually safe. And here's why. Now, just a disclaimer for the listeners right now, I'm not here to tell anybody anything, but what I do as a doula, and this is what I would do for you, let's just say, Angel, you came to see me, I would arm you with that information, that latest research, a couple of books I would recommend, and I'd say, go in there, march into your doctor and have that conversation so you can make some shared decision-making around extending your HRT. And this is what you've come to learn about it. But what I can say to you is that the old narrative from the World Health Initiative, which was promptly halted, and it was false from the get-go. First of all, the subject matters that were involved were well past their menopausal years. They were some obese, cardiovascular issues, smokers. So it was doomed from the get-go. And so the findings that they found related to things like cardiovascular health and breast cancer sent the alarm bells. But they were also, there was one taking an estrogen only, and then there was an estrogen progesterone, and then there was just the placebo effect. And there's a placebo group in each of the cohorts. And it was an oral estrogen. So we've come to know that oral estrogen is no longer the most preferred. It's the transdermal or a vaginal ring, for example. So I would be sharing you with this information, arming you with the sense of empowerment, and also building up your confidence to understand that HRT is actually quite safe. So if you are getting the results, and let's come down to the criteria, is your quality of life. If you can just rock it on the stage and have a great night's sleep and not wake up all stinky and your sweaty sheets, and you're maintaining a healthy weight and you feel energized, then why not stay on it? So these are the kind of things that we are learning about and really unpacking this now, like 2024. We are just still understanding the woman's body and hormones and estrogen egress and what it does to the rest of the body. So take comfort in knowing that you're probably going to be safe on HRT, but definitely share that with your doctor. But that aside, I've done my plug for doula work.
Right.
You have touched on all of the great things, but what resonates with me from what you shared is that it was a journey of self-discovery. You figured it out on your own, and you really went internal with your body and started to understand, hey, this is giving me what I need.
I think that just the whole timing, like we moved away from Montreal. We sold our house, sold everything, moved into the bus, drove to Nashville in December 2019. That was a huge thing that I was going through. And I was leaving my home and where I was known, where my money was to be made, to go to America. Then COVID hit. And, my daughter was in Australia, and then I was in Quebec, and we stayed there till September. And then it was too cold. And what are we going to do? And then we crossed the country in our bus, which was our home, in September. And, there's snow late September in Alberta. And I'm like freaking out, like the stress level. And I didn't realize it. And I'm not a good, like when I play, I have my little caca as they call it before, because I'm a nervous wreck because I want to do a good show and there's people relying on me. So I'm really nervous. It's an exciting nervous.
Yeah.
But I have to like deal with all that. And I was just talking about that last night with my husband and our friends, that this time around, after this 2-year break, I am enjoying every moment and taking in and accepting it is what it is. But before I wouldn't accept that, because I have OCD. So I'm very obsessive compulsive about, certain things. I just do little movements with my eyes and my fingers. And I haven't had a chance to do Kundalini in a while because we've been really busy out west trying to build a new business and everything. But I tell you, if I do that regularly, my OCD goes down to like 10%, 2%. Even my husband's like, oh yeah, I know, I see it. The idea of being so stressed and having it all building up. And that's what I've been doing for years, gigging and going on the road. And I can't believe my husband's still married to me. Like, he takes all of it because he knows, and he's gentle with me, and he'll let me know when I've gone too far in a polite way, not in front of anybody, and with love. And that's important, because he'll just give me the wrong look and I'll be like, who, you talking to me like that? Like, it'll be like, you want to go at it? I'm Italian Irish. Like, I'm going to fuck you up. It's like, don't do that. But he's not, he knows me and he respects me and he loves me and he's my best friend. So having that support, not everybody has that. Having that support is really important. But all the things that are important, just you get to a point now, I think maybe it's because I'm feeling better that I'm able to say, I'm going to go with it. If we're late, we're late. If we get there, then if I miss a note, I miss a note, whatever. Like, everything just seems to be flowing so much better, but it's because I've got my stress under control, and that stress will kill you. Absolutely. Absolutely.
So true.
Emotional. That's the thing. Like, the whole, even people who are not meditators and stuff, just if you're in the car, do the 4-4 breathing. We were talking about last night, going to bed. Oh, if I get up at 4 and I see light, I'm done. I'm up. I'm like, are you kidding me? I get up at 4 to pee. I go back to bed. I had to go actually downstairs here this morning, get back upstairs. And I was thinking about what they thought. And I told them during dinner, I said, I watched this show, The Mentalist. There was the cutest little guy on that show who played the mentalist, the blonde guy. I can't remember his name. Surfer. Anyway, one of the episodes, he says a trick about sleeping. He's like, breathe in 2, breathe out 1. You count it 2, 1. The opposite of what you would do naturally. You go 1, 2, 1, 2, and you say it in your mind, but do it the other way. 2, 1, 2, while you're sleeping calmly, regular breathing. And I swear to God, I'm out like that. I think about what I'm doing. I'm like, what am I doing? Oh, I'm doing that count thing again. And then that's the last thing I remember saying to myself when I'm sleeping.
Nice.
It's like a meditation. If you veer off somewhere, you go back to it.
Yeah.
And because you're concentrating on the 2, 1, which is not normal, instead of 1, 2, for some reason it works for me. Might not work for everybody, but these little things that just make, the sleeping thing is a huge thing. As a singer, I need to sleep. I need to drink water. I don't drink any of those pops. I never really did. My first child I was borderline diabetic because I used to drink a bullet a day of Coke, and I would have, French fries and a chocolate and a hot dog with everything on it. Lived next to this great hot dog joint. I was 200 pounds. And that's what I thought about when I went to the doctor 4 months ago. And she said I was 197. I said, I'm 197. I have no baby inside me. Are you freaking kidding me? So mentally, I wasn't going back to that because I wasn't gonna be able to just it out. Yeah, the sugar thing is it's terrible, poison. So getting all those things, and I knock on wood. I mean, I'm telling you this now, and God willing that it keeps going, because I haven't felt this good in 7 years, 8 years. It's crazy.
That's amazing, Angel. And you look great. I mean, we're looking at each other on the Zoom and it's 2D, but still, you look great. When I met you for the very first time, well, looks aside, it's how that person makes you feel, the energy. And you just radiate this
Oh,
nurturing energy, and your
oh,
daughter
thank
was there,
you.
and you were proudly showing her off.
Thank
And I
you.
did want to touch on that mother-daughter relationship because it is so important.
Yeah.
We are blessed now that we live in a generation where we can pass on to our daughters the knowledge, the
Yeah.
wisdom
Yeah.
about coming into her age of wisdom, which is through the menopausal transition. You talked about how great your relationship was with your mother. Were you able to lean in and ask her any questions?
Actually, no. My mom,
No.
I remember being 12 and my stepfather was a carny, working carnivals.
Okay.
And a roofer or whatever, anyway, whatever. We would go on the road in the summertime, and I remember this blue Ford Econoline with shag white carpeting everywhere, roof and ceiling and everything. And I have visions of my mother with a huge Kotex box on the edge of the bed, because the whole back was like a full-on bed, and her legs up. And she'd be going through Kotex boxes like a huge, like they didn't have Costco's back then, but it was like that kind of huge thing. And just bleeding, hemorrhaging
Oh
in
my.
this white shag. I remember there was going something trying to keep it off the shag. And she went in for a hysterectomy, an emergency hysterectomy. She had a tumor the size of a grapefruit.
Oh
And
Lord.
so she was probably 45, 47, maybe. So I never saw menopause with her. It went from that to nothing. And my sister was the same way, my half sister. She had a baby at 40, and they found, again, a tumor the size of a grapefruit, and they removed it. So she never went through all of that stuff, I don't think. She went into immediate menopause, if you will. I just spell that shit for me.
Gosh.
Gosh, yeah. And she would do all that, but she was miserable. Like
Yeah.
my sister was miserable. I was like, oh, I hope I never go through that kind of thing. So I never had someone to talk to about all that stuff. Everything that I've gone into has been through media or through reading or self, whatever, talking to other ladies my age. And that's the thing with live now, is that my fan base is, people bringing their kids are like, oh, Angel, this is my daughter. We made her with that song from this album from 2005. And then she'll turn around, she'll go, and that's her daughter who's 3. And I'm like, Jesus, mother God almighty. It's like, so we got this young, and then I've got these older people coming. And when I start breaking into like being honest live, like, I'm freaking sweating, man. Can I get a fan? And they're all laughing. I'm like, oh, I'm in menopause. And then it's like, oh, then it starts. And most of the girls are like, yeah, baby. And they're in there. And then I'm singing, I'm talking, and everything that is part of the discussion between songs is honest. So whatever it is. So it really connects me with the men and the women in the audience, because the men that are there with their, 55-year-old ladies are going, oh yeah. And then Denise got his part where he's going, oh Jesus, that quote, if you can't say anything nice, shut your mouth. So like that kind of rapport that we have, right? So it all sort of, because I'm the kind of artist that I am, like you said, I'm very approachable or nurturing, is I've always felt that way because I'm so grateful and I am expressing myself. And then when I touch one person in the audience that responds to me or opens to me, or I can see that they've been moved by something that I've been moved by, it just feeds me and it energizes me and it just keeps me going. And it makes me, just the other night, the first night playing, the guy said, I've seen you for the last 12 years. He said, you are the same person all the time. He says, you're not like these other artists I see that come and they change with the season, whatever's in, whatever. I'm like, Jesus. Nope, not me. I still got the same furniture and some of the same clothes from when I was 20. Like I keep holding on, like I don't change, because it's not me. It's not something that, my jewelry is like, I tell people, don't buy me any jewelry for anything, because I have the same jewelry on and every piece I buy stays on me. Like these don't come off, It's like, it's part of, I've had them for, 30 years. So I don't change. So people feel connected to me and they feel comfortable and they know what they're going to get. So so that's for me, I'm very lucky to have that vehicle of expression and of emotion shared that a lot of people don't have, a lot of people that are going through what we're going through don't have that. So I'm very lucky to have that.
So then do you feel, though, with all the changes that you experience physically and the mental as well, that you were able to, because you were an artist and you owed it, I guess, to your audience, or felt like a genuine connection to your audience, that you needed to show up authentic. So did you feel that your identity as a woman being challenged through the transition?
I am a very expressive physically when I play, especially with the band, dancing. And I used to dance when I was a kid for 9 years. I did ballet. So I'm very body, and I'll tell you that the first 5 years when I was still playing all the time, I hated my body, hated myself, had to find a way to wear clothes that when I still moved the same way, you didn't see my outline. So I'd wear a lot of flowy coats and tops that were tight on the boobs, but flowed down over the belly. And I couldn't wear the jeans, the hip hugging jeans with the flat stomach anymore because I didn't have that. So I would wear longer tops, and the cellulite was banging along on the thigh. So it would have to at least cover half my thigh, and had to be a certain kind of jean if I wore it that didn't have the stretch in it, because that's the hugs the love. So, and I found that took away from my expression, took away from me being free and easy, freewheeling and doing what I felt at the moment. Because I'd be thinking, oh my goodness, is my hair okay? Is this side a bad side? And I would like literally beat myself up while I was playing, telling myself to shut the fuck up and don't, like, stop it. I'd see pictures and I'd be like, I thought my hair was so long. No, I would just pull my hair along and it would like get all frizzy and yucky. And because I was everything had to be like, I get out there and I get into a song and I'd be shaking my head and I would forget and everything. And then I'd be like, I can't do that. Like I'm flopping all over the place. Like this is, I don't. So I hated myself for that. And then, so I started doing more acoustic gigs where I would sit. And then, people would draw pictures. I did a show in Omaha, Nebraska, and the guy made a picture of the three of us sitting there. And from behind, like the side behind view. And I was crying inside. Like my butt was hanging over this freaking stool. He didn't have to actually draw me exactly the way it was, right? But it was like my coat, my duster was sort of hanging over. So it gave it the illusion that I was really large. And it's like, Jesus Christ, like, is this what people are seeing? So it affected my expression, and it affected my sexuality, that I have no problem being sexy on stage, because I like feel like, the way I touch the mic, or like people say, oh my God, you're so phallic. I'm like, am I? I don't know. It's just the way I hold my mic stand, or it's just the way I shake my hip, or I, dance, shimmy, or whatever it is. It's just, I felt like my body was just, I was one. There was fluid with the air. But then when I was feeling overweight and I was feeling hot and sweaty and clammy and stinky, I would just do shows that I was sitting. And it would be all about just the face and the head, and I wouldn't move. And it was fine for a bit. And I still love doing acoustic stuff like that. That's more mellow. But I still, now, I get up and I move. But that's a huge part of who I am is, and I hate that, because my daughter, my husband, baby, you're beautiful. You don't have to worry. I'm like, yeah, but it's a health thing. My mother was obese. My sister's obese. It's in my genes. And if I don't freak, and literally in my jeans, bulging out of my jeans. If I don't I'm 57, I just turned 57. If I don't get a freaking handle on it, I'm not expecting to be 120 pounds. Don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to go back to being this skinny mini, but God dang it. I want to be able to walk up a hill. I want to be able to feel good. I want to be able to move and fit in clothes that are not made for people who are trying to hide themselves. Because you always look bigger. And I never believed that. Wear something tighter. No. Well, no, I didn't want to do that, but it's true. But you're so used to trying to hide everything that you want it to flow with you, so it doesn't hug. It's a terrible way to be. And if I was not an artist that was performing in front of people, maybe it wouldn't bother me so much. Etta James, this is one of the sexiest singers you ever see up there. She's like 240, 50, 60 pounds. Sexiest woman you ever seen.
Yeah.
But was she always like that? I don't know. But I was never like that. So getting to that, having no control over it, freaked me out. And I felt bad about it. So I beat myself up a lot about that. And I was like, well, if you don't like it, do something about it. Going away and being away from all regular life, not everybody can do that. Go away on vacation I was working, but go for 7 weeks and literally just do that and have all the food there. Like, it's like you have a private chef almost with the buffet. You need to have some restraint, not to dig into that lovely smelling crepes that they make fresh every time you walk by. But yeah, it's a matter of, you've had enough. Well, you've had enough. Hopefully you have the emotional strength and the mental strength, because it's, for me, everything is mental.
Yeah.
You need to be strong mentally. And so sport is important. You should write a book about it. Somebody must write a book about it somewhere.
That's your book. Hey, a whole bunch of more songs right there.
Yeah.
That's how you can continue to evolve in your 3-decade career and multiple female vocalists of the year for the Toronto Blues Society. I mean, you got it all.
That was a fluke. 7 years in a row, missed a year and then another year. I was like, are you kidding me? I haven't even anyway, I'm so very happy.
Yeah,
so
you snuck in some JUNOs in there too. I mean,
no, very lucky.
We're lucky to have you living out here on the West Coast. And I envision retreats on Hornby Island with you teaching a bunch of menopausal women how to find themselves.
Funny you should say that, because we bought a boat out there. Commercial fishing boat, and it's called the Sun Corona. And starting this end of May, we are doing 3-hour cruises, morning cruises for sunrise, which I would like to be doing some Kundalini yoga on the thing and just go around the island. And then charters if you like to, rent the boat. But sunset cruises where we do a 30-minute set. We anchor and we watch the sunset, do like a 25-30-minute set, serve you some smoked salmon and veggie pate for those vegetarians, and all the fixings with a live show going around Hornby Island. So that's our new business in the summer, which is why I'm here this spring, because I won't be touring in the summer anymore. I'm going to be doing the sunset, the Sun Corona charters. That's going to be our new thing, and we can sleep in our own bed every night.
Fantastic. You continue to evolve
projects, yeah.
And that's what we
need to do. That you need to have a project. You need to not just wallow in what's going on right now. Do whatever it is, volunteer stuff or create something or demolish your bathroom and start again. Whatever you got to do, just do stuff, and it really helps a lot.
And that's the wisdom. When we enter into this age of
exactly.
Vedic philosophy says. I'm going to get suncorona.ca in the show notes. Menopause vacations is becoming a thing now.
Oh, good.
So ladies out there, my girlfriends, whether you live on the West Coast or any other part of Canada or worldwide, we can plan a menopause vacation for you on the beautiful sacred Hornby Island. It's a throwback to the 60s, honest to goodness.
The Hawaii of the North. Yes.
It is, most definitely. Suncorona.ca.
Yeah, we can take about up to 9 people. So get your best girlfriends together and we can go out and fish. We can do some Kundalini. We can just cruise on the water, and so much to do there. Yeah. I love it.
Incredible. I'm going to push that very hard, as well as all of your music. I was listening to Hellbent with Grace last night. Actually, a couple of the other songs, but I was listening to it last night on Spotify.
Yeah, I've got 12 records, so get on there and listen. You can hear the evolution of my life, literally from the French record all the way to the last one.
There's so much to cover, topping the charts worldwide, to finding some of the best guitar players that we have seen in Canada. Ricky Paquette, Denny Coulombe, your husband. I mean, it's just, you have been blessed with a beautiful life.
Yes, I'm very lucky.
We are blessed that you are sharing your journey with us, because when we listen to other women's stories, we can lean in and find that little gem of information that somebody needs to just get them through that hurdle. And I am so grateful for you for that.
Well, I'm grateful that you're doing what you're doing. It's amazing. And thank you for reaching out to me, because, not everybody wants to hear my story. It's like when my fangs come out, like, there is a positive, side to things. You just got to find it and keep it going. But being able just to talk about it, that's a big thing. It's great. So thank you for the invite, and keep on keeping on what you're doing, because I'm sure you're helping many, many a person, and not just women, the men too.
Yes.
We got to take care of those guys too.
Us mothers need to nurture our
That's right. That's right. Our husbands, our children. This is the whole reason why we get the menopause and give the birth. It's because we can. And, we need to, because there's no other being that be able to do that, and go through all of that. And it's huge. It's freaking huge.
Paraphrase the Dalai Lama. It's the women of the Western world who will save the world.
Ah, Dolly. He knows what's going on now, and I'll tell you.
Not so bad. He's
not so bad at all.
Thing or two. Oh my goodness, this has been so amazing. Thank you. I would have you back in a heartbeat. This is just so much to unpack. I appreciate everything that you do, and I look forward to seeing you on
live. Let's do that, Mary. Take care of yourself.
After my conversation with Angel, I was just grinning from ear to ear. I mean, here's a woman who's on stage performing, and I don't know about you, but I like to think of these performers as superheroes. Like, they are immune to everything, and they've got it. They've got it all put together, because when they show up on stage, they're so real and authentic and engaging, and they just exude joy and happiness. I mean, that's what you get when you see Angel on stage. But then to sit down in a conversation and know that they're going through exactly what we're going through in the menopause transition, and they're discovering things about themselves that they don't like or they love about themselves, and then they're figuring out a way to embrace it and to move past it. That, my friends, is called wisdom. And I'm just going to quote something that I heard from the amazing Dr. Dispenza. He says, a memory without the emotional charge is called wisdom. Yeah. I mean, how many of us hang so much of our lives on our memories of who we were in the past, be it who we were in our careers or what we looked like in our bodies. But when we can reflect back and go, yeah, I liked that girl, I admired her, but I'm moving past that and there's no emotional attachment. Wow. Wisdom. And this is truly the age of being wise. So I just want to share with you in closing on this beautiful podcast a message from Dee Murray, who is the head of the Menopause Expert Group. And I am now a Menopause Expert Champion. And I'll link that in my show notes so you can better understand what that is all about. But she says, think of menopause as embarking on a journey through a rich, vibrant forest. Yeah, no pun intended. Each path taken, every changing season brings its own challenges and its own beauties. And it's a time of transformation, not just physically, but emotionally and spiritually. Menopause signifies a period of immense power, an awakening to the new phase of life that holds the promise of wisdom, freedom, and a deeper connection with oneself. Remember, with every hot flash, or as they say in the Great Britain, every hot flush, every unpredictable mood swing, you're not losing yourself. You're uncovering layers, getting closer to the essence of who you truly are. And I talked about this in my previous episode. This stage is not about fading into the background. It's about shining brighter than ever and embracing the changes and celebrating the journey. Oh, love this. She says also, menopause is not an ending, but a beginning, a doorway to a new adventures, deeper relationships, and a more profound appreciation for life. It's a time to reconnect with your desires, to rediscover passions that may have been put aside, to embrace the beauty of becoming. The world unfolds in new colors, rich with possibilities, inviting you to explore, create, and to thrive. And she goes on to say so much more. But I think that message is so tender, so beautiful. And in closing, something that I say often, we are not just surviving menopause. We are thriving. It's a new spring. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Full details are in my show notes. Check it out. Listen to her music. Lately, I've been rocking it in my kitchen to the Manny the Monster. Yeah, this is why I'm not a singer, and she is. Love and light all. Stay tuned for another exciting episode next week.